The next item I do have cards on, but I'd like to make the statement in regards to this too. I did receive a letter from this organization, and it was addressed to me as the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners, and so in response I would need to have it brought before the board so that the decision is made by the board. And preparing the item to go on to the agenda item to go on the agenda, with it being a yes vote, there wasn't any need to have anything. But if the vote was to not go with the request, then I went ahead and had our county attorney, Mr. Scott Knox, prepare a letter that would be appropriate if that was the vote on it. We do have cards, so I'll go ahead and have the speakers come up first, and then we'll bring it back to the board. Mr. David Williamson, followed by Joseph Richardson. And when you come before us, you'll need to state your name and address. And it is 5 minutes, sir.
My name is David Williamson. My address is P.O. Box 621123, Oviedo, Florida. Let me begin by offering my sincerest thanks to the Commission for considering our request in a public forum. A few moments earlier, we heard Commissioner Nelson mention fairness in, quote, all or none. We heard Commissioner Infantini spoke to the word, quote, equity. And I hope others will feel similarly before we conclude this section of the agenda today. The organization I represent, the Central Florida Free Thought Community, is one of nearly 100 free thought organizations across the state, including in Brevard County. These organizations are made up of citizens who simply affirm our ability and responsibility to lead ethical lives that aspire to the benefit of the whole of humanity and to provide personal fulfillment. How this could possibly conflict with the goals of this commission simply escapes my understanding. All of us are part of the same community, along with you and everyone else you represent in this county. Atheists, humanists, freethinkers, and non-believers of many labels are part of this community, part of the great American experiment, and have always been a part of it. Americans who have no religion, no claim to a house of worship, no particular faith tradition, they make up more than 1/5 of this nation. This means that 100,000 of your constituents would be silenced by this. If this were allowed across the state, more than 3 million Floridians would be affected, prohibited from having the same rights as everyone else. To deny anyone the right to offer an invocation at this meeting and relegate them to the public comment period would be seen by anyone, any reasonable observer, as an endorsement of religion, something that is not permitted under the Constitution of the United States or Florida. The number of Americans who are unaffiliated with any religion is growing faster than any segment of the population today. 1/3 of adults under 30 are in this category. Our future holds great promise and will be one that acknowledges our differences, celebrates diversity, and provides everyone the same opportunities, and denying no one any rights based on religious belief or lack thereof. Regarding the legal justification for our request, I'm not sure that the case law here could be any clearer. The Supreme Court explicitly identified non-believers by name in its ruling in the Town of Greece versus Galloway, made it crystal clear that anyone could offer an invocation. Yet you will consider today exactly how to abridge the rights of a religious minority, discriminating without citing any statute or case law in the proposed letter. I'm no attorney, but this seems a weak position from which to mount an argument. That concept has no place in our constitutional republic, and certainly not in 2014. So we brought with us today the transcript of invocations already offered at nearby cities, counties, other municipalities, as well as a list of others where we have been welcome to participate in the near future, a total of 12 in all. I hope you'll consider these as an example of what our members can and have contributed to their communities already. It's our hope that we can soon do the same at the meetings of this commission. Again, I thank you for your time today.
Mr. Joseph Richardson.
My name is Joseph Richardson. I live. Your draft letter, your draft letter proposes to deny humanists and atheists the opportunity to give invocations for what appear to be two main reasons. First, that belief in a spiritual authority is necessary to provide the invocation, and second, that humanists and atheists may be excluded because they may express their opinions during the public comment period of the meetings. Addressing the first point, let me say that a belief held by, quote, a large segment of Brevard's constituents, unquote, is not a reason to exclude a smaller segment of your population. The claim that some kind of spiritual authority is required is clearly false, as demonstrated by the numerous secular invocations that have been given in recent months by other localities such as Winter Park, Orlando, Volusia County, and others. The invocation intends to lend gravity and solemnity to the proceedings of meetings like this, but I repeat, it does not require spiritual beliefs. This lack of belief is simply not a valid reason to exclude humanists, atheists, or indeed any segment of your population, no matter how small, from full participation in government activities. If a government activity somehow requires such an exclusion, then that activity is patently unfair, unequal, unconstitutional, and should no longer be a part of the government. With respect to your second reason, this idea that because anyone may speak during the public comments, that it somehow justifies exclusion from presenting invocations, this more than anything else in your letter betrays your true attitude. This can be seen by placing your claim in another context. You are saying essentially, you may attend these schools, but not those. These are the water fountains you can drink from. These are off limits. You may ride the bus, but you must sit in the back. You may marry this person, but not that one. And now you may speak at this later time during the meeting, but you may not speak at the beginning. Your proposed response is discrimination, pure and simple. It is an offense to human dignity as well as to our Constitution, and it is in conflict with the Supreme Court of the United States. I urge you to reconsider your entire response and to recognize the contents of this letter for what it is: offensive, discriminatory, and illegal. The Supreme Court has ordered equal access. I encourage you to respect that decision and provide equal access as other municipalities have correctly done. Save the citizens of this county the tax money you might otherwise spend defending the losing position espoused in your letter. Do the right thing and treat all your citizens equally, not just the majority. Thank you.
David Kearns, followed by Dave Goshhern, Keith Beckner, and Carol Buchert.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you? My name is David Kearns. 32905. I'm also a candidate for State House, District 53. And I can tell you that you need agnostics in government to play referee from all the sides. You set aside a moment of silence and gravity and solemnity for the invocation. That would be the best course of action, I think. To the non-religious, an invocation is an uncomfortable process. You got to wonder whether the process is designed to be all-inclusive or by design to make some folks feel uncomfortable. I'll give you an example. You imagine you're at church, and before service can begin, a federal employee comes up and is asked to read from the tax code just for a little bit while you bow your heads. I mean, for the non-religious, that's an equivalent type situation. Fox News tells us all that Christianity is under attack. Christianity is not under attack. Religious encroachment of government is on the rise. And the pretext is that Christianity is under attack. It's not so. Hillsborough County is an example. I did some work over in Hillsborough County on the elections. Hillsborough has a long, involved, elaborate process. It gets more long and involved every meeting I've been over there. There's only a suite of specific religions that are ever invited to offer the invocation. And you can see people standing there with their heads bowed. Some of them are just physically uncomfortable by the process of watching this. So it's pretty obvious, some comments in the paper, only a specific suite of faiths would be welcome here for the invocation process. And I think that establishes a de facto state religion for Brevard, which is unconstitutional. Such comments throw the gauntlet down for groups that are fighting religious encroachment, such as the one that's here today, and I applaud them for their efforts. So I think the best course of action is to actually just set aside a moment of silence and gravity and solemnity so that people can understand that governing is a process that needs to be revered, but you don't need to make people feel uncomfortable. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, I have a question,
Sure.
if I may.
Sure.
Yes, Commissioner Fantini?
You said that there's only a specific suite of religions that is allowed to give their invocation here? I'm sorry, where in the world did you get that information?
I get the sense from the comments in the newspaper that only a specific group of faiths, well, certainly you're not going to invite the Wicca to approach.
Okay.
You're not going to invite the pagan Celts to approach. You're not going to invite, I don't see you inviting certain, the spaghetti monster group that's out there right now that says that God is a spaghetti monster. I don't see you inviting them to give the invocation. Based on the comments that I read in the paper.
Okay, you may want to do other research other than the paper. I'm just going to throw that out there because sometimes I've found it to be a little bit less than accurate and a little bit less than
Well, then explain it when you say that
I
the
know that my
preponderance of...
staff and I, we
Well,
search. I mean,
yeah.
I don't have any specific religion. We will go anywhere to find somebody. Now, not anywhere. Okay, correct. Not anywhere.
That's-
Not
I
anywhere.
think what they're saying is
There are
all or
certain
none.
places-
It's all or none. Otherwise, you're
Okay.
going to have the spaghetti monster people here. You're going to have the Wicca here. You're going to have, I mean, and that's fine. That's their religion. That's beautiful. Do that. But what you're going to do is you're throwing down the gauntlet against people who might not believe precisely as you do. Those comments in the newspaper seem to indicate that there is
Sir, we have
only
another question
a
also for you.
90% group that we're looking at. We're just looking at specific religions. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Anderson.
I think there's a little confusion on how our process works here. We go on a rotating calendar, and each commissioner goes within their district. I think this is what Commissioner Fantini was alluding to, and selects to highlight a religious organization or church within their district. I have tons of different faiths, and I've invited, I think, almost every faith that has accepted. We put out a mass mailing to everybody, including I think we received a letter from the former pastor of the Universalist Church.
What
in
about
West
the
Mobile.
agnostics and the atheists? I think that's what they're
Well,
asking.
any one commissioner can choose them as their person to give that invocation on that day that they're assigned that. So you can go talk to them.
Okay.
That it's not like that we're as a body making that. And first of all, I want to go back. It's not an endorsement of a religion. First of all, that's not what the Constitution says anyways. By picking a Catholic to come in, I'm not establishing a religion. That's what the Constitution says. Sometimes the atheist people try to skew that. The Constitution actually says the establishment of a religion or the prohibition of a free exercise of. We have done neither in this commission chambers. As Commissioner Boland said in her letter, that if somebody wants to come up and give their, whether it's a Wiccan, a Satanist, they have 3 minutes under the Constitution of the United States to do that.
Some people have made the
under
feel-
our rules and the Constitution.
Some-
and
if you
I'm going
don't
to leave it
believe
with
in
this.
any
For you to
particular-
say that Christianity is under attack, I'd like you to look over at Iraq right now and let me know if Christianity is not under attack.
We're not in Iraq.
Well.
We're here. And the
Fire
thing-
spreads quickly,
The
sir.
thing is, when you're standing there in the audience and you can't, you're supposed to bow your head and pray to something that you may not
If
believe
anybody
in,
wants to request from
the
my
county
office to do
commission.
an invocation, I will look at it and weigh it. Doesn't mean that I'm going to select it. Just means that I'll send an email to you, and if you can make it on that day.
And you mentioned Iraq, and I really applaud you for doing that. You look at these republics that are winking out of civilization right now because of religious conflict. To stoke more religious conflict is to bring down civilization, which is what these
And
actions.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. And in Iraq, you're seeing we're not going to get in that discussion.
Okay.
Probably something we can agree on, actually, of what's going on over there.
Okay.
With the Muslim Brotherhood and all that
Yeah,
going on.
we'll continue on.
But I'm just going to say,
Yeah,
and I'm not
maybe.
going to say any more after this.
Yeah.
I need all the prayer in my life I can get to get through these meetings. So whatever you guys need to do.
If you
you
don't
very
think
much,
if
sir.
you don't think agnostics can pray,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
come to my house when my child is out with the car. So we can't.
Dave Goshern.
Thank you for having me. And Dave Gosshorn. And I will read from parts of a speech by Bart D. Ehrman in May of this year, speaking about an area of America that he thought was the Bible Belt. The constitutional guarantee of freedom of religion is the freedom to practice their own religion, but for some it is to impose their views of religion on the rest of us. My view is that the freedom from religion means opposing the imposition of someone else's religion on us in public institutions, public spaces, public schools, public offices, and our public laws. I'm opposed to the idea that someone else's idea of religion has any bearing on how I live in my public or private life. Okay, this next section is from a 1960 speech by JFK on the separation of church and state, with minor changes by me for this situation. I believe whatever church you believe in should only be important to you. I believe in America where separation of church and state should be absolute. I believe in America that not officially neither Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Muslim, or non-believer, that is not officially, where no public official either requests or accepts instructions or public policy from churches or any other ecclesiastical source, where no religious body seeks to impose its will directly or indirectly on the general populace or the public acts of its officials. It was Virginia's harassment of Baptist preachers, for example, that led to Jefferson's Statue of Religious Freedom. For today, I may be the victim, tomorrow may be you. Excuse me. And here's one definition of invocation from Merriam-Webster Online. The act of monitoring or mentoring or referring to someone or something in support of your ideas. The act of invoking something. And also I have a Bible quote, Matthew 6, verse 5 through 6, from Bible Gateway, NIV. When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray, standing in the synagogues and on the street corners, to be seen by others. Truly I tell you, they have received their rewards in full. But when you pray, go to your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. If this board holds so tightly to their beliefs, then we are all losers, not just the minority. And for fairness, it must be all or nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Keith Becker.
I'm not going to speak right now. I'm just naming you're in opposition
Okay.
to the letter.
Carol Burkert. After Ms. Carroll, that will be the end of the cards.
Good morning. I usually review the agendas before I come. This one slipped by me. So my name is Carol Buchert. And I just want to say that I applaud the board and I think it was the article in the newspaper quoting Mary Boleyn concerning this subject. I think the vast majority of people that live in Brevard, I've lived here most of my life since 1967, would support the board on the position that you have taken and allowing this group to speak during the comment time. I think that we are, contrary to what a lot of people say, our nation was founded on the belief in God, specifically Jesus Christ, and I do believe that we are under assault, even though you may or may not agree with that. And I think that we should continue as we have been doing. And I think it's wonderful and appropriate, and I support what the board is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Anderson.
The original draft letter that went out with the agenda packet is fine with me. I think that I'm okay with moving forward with that. I just never understood the concept on and this is no personal slight to anybody, how you could possibly be offended by something that you do not believe exists. I just never understood that. So I'll make the motion, go with that letter.
I have a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Fisher. Open for discussion?
I'll make the comment. I think the public comment section is, we're giving them opportunity to speak, and we're opening the commission up to that. Their thoughts. When I looked at their website, one of the things I noticed was that it wasn't so much about prayer as it was about trying to separate state and church, it sounded like. And if that's the issue, state and church, then I think the public comment section of the agenda is probably the best place anyway.
Okay. I have Commissioner Nelson.
County Attorney, I just want to make sure that you've reviewed this and you believe that this is the option that we have available to us and that we are consistent with law.
Yeah, it's not going to come as a surprise to you that I disagree with the interpretation of the law that's been given to you. So what I wrote in behalf of Commissioner Boland, I think, tracks what the case actually says.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please state aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you.